2020 has been a year marked by the pandemic and an awakening to racial injustice. What better time than that to release a psychological horror thriller film that discusses slavery? In Antebellum, Janelle Monae stars as a modern-day black woman attempting to escape a 19th century slave plantation. However, things are not exactly what they seem. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm on the couch. All right, this is Ronald, and I am on the couch after watching Antebellum. Antebellum, available on video on demand, starring Janelle Monae, Eric Lange, Jena Malone, Jack Huston, Kiersey Clemons, and Gabourey Sidibe, directed by Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz, written by Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz. All right, Antebellum. This was a movie that was supposed to get a wide release, but again, because of COVID, which you guys hear me say a lot on this show, was delayed and eventually put on video on demand. And in my opinion, probably should have sunk to the depths of hell and been thrown into the deep blue sea. I did not like this movie. I'm just going to start there. That's the rest of the review. So strap in, because this movie was hot garbage. So the premise of this movie is that, so it was billed as a horror movie slash as a horror movie slash psychological thriller slash, like they show scenes of Janelle Monae being in modern times, and then Janelle Monae being on a plantation, obviously picking cotton. So we as the viewers like, wait, what's happening? And the premise, and now I'm thinking about it, I'm getting more upset because I realize that they lied to us. Because one of the things that they say in the preview is like, once it chooses you, there's nothing you can do. And we're like, oh snap, once it chooses you, there's nothing you do. So they add all these horror elements in it, and we're supposed to believe that, and I guess it opens with us thinking, man, that's crazy. I wonder how she, because let me just start from the beginning. So the movie opens with slavery, and that kind of was jarring for me because I thought this was a movie that was going to start in modern day and then jump back to slavery somehow, but it starts with slavery. And I think that was a huge mistake, because it starts not only with slavery, like we're seeing all these black folks picking cotton and walking around, on a plantation, but it opens with a struggle between a black man and some Confederate soldiers and his wife, who is, and this is in the first 5 minutes, so I'm going to tell you what happens. So if you feel strongly, you could just say la 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 for the next 10 seconds. But it's a man struggling with Confederate soldiers and a wife who then runs away at the behest of the man, and she is caught. A rope is put around her neck, and she begs for death, and she is then killed. And it's actually pretty violent when I see this happen. And this is in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Then we just are watching people be enslaved. From then on, like they're enslaved for the next, like, probably the first half hour of the movie. I'm just watching a slave movie, and that's not what I signed up for with this movie. I mean, they build it as something that was going to be a blending of the two, and it's really not. It's really just as sadistic as every other slave movie I've seen, in a way that almost felt completely useless. I'm so tired of these movies. I'm so tired of 12 Years a Slave, of Django Unchained, of Underground, Harriet Tubman, the Underground Railroad movie. I'm tired of all these movies. I don't want to see any of them anymore. I don't want to see black folks in positions of enslavement. I don't want to see black folks have to fight for their freedom, any of that. And it's not like I'm saying I want to forget about slavery. I'm just tired of y'all depicting it on screen. And when I say y'all, I mean y'all creatives, because it felt like I think his name, Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz were hanging out late at night one night, and one of them said to the other, yo, wouldn't it be crazy if like all these MAGA folks, if they got everybody and they put them on a plantation and like re-enslaved people? That I'm telling you, I bet you this conversation happened. I bet you there were like a few too many drinks in, and then this conversation happens, and the next thing you know, this movie comes to be. And the only difference between them and any other person that has this conversation is that any other person wouldn't have the budget or the connections to make a full-length feature film of this. Now, I know Christopher Renz is a music video director. I believe that Gerard Bush also was. And when I say, I'm sorry, not is a music video directors, but their claim to fame is directing music videos. And I'm bringing that up because visually, this movie does a great job. They show a lot of great visual emotional moments that are just great portraits, great little short films. All of that is great. And you know what? I didn't even really enjoy them that much. I was just like, oh, these visuals are visuals. They're nice. They're nice visuals. But I wouldn't say I enjoyed them because they felt like they were a waste. Because here I am watching these visuals against the movie that has terrible dialogue, that has really bad pacing. Like the lines were just trash. The lines were so bad, it made Janelle Monae seem like a bad actress. And I know she's not. I know she's good at emoting, and I know she works. I've seen her do well with other scripts. But this one in general, I was watching and I'm just like, it just seems like they wrote, hey girl, I'm feeling blue. And Janelle Monae did the best she could to deliver this, but you could see the line writing and the interaction and the dialogue, and whoever wrote this, you could tell it was two dudes writing black women banter. It was just very much like they're like, well, what are black women talking about these days? And that's kind of what they wrote as the script. So yeah, it comes off flat. It comes off boring at times. And then when it's not boring, it's disturbing. Like I don't want to watch sadistic things happen to black people. And some people would say, well, you signed up for this when you turn the movie on. But I thought I was about to watch some sort of like Get Out-esque Jordan Peele, like social commentary horror movie, like psychological horror. And really what I just watched was just a sadistic like cosplay of slavery, you know? And yeah, maybe that's saying more than I should, but I don't really feel like I'm spoiling this movie when I don't think anyone else should go see it. Yeah, but the premise was trash. I think they do that thing they do in movies where when they show anybody being sadistic in the middle of the movie, and this is very much the plot of I Spit on Your Grave or Last House on the Left, where something uber violent and horrible happens in the opener of the movie, and it's almost like the directors and writers, who are often always dudes, come along and they're like, nah, don't worry. These guys are going to get their comeuppance. And then at the end of the movie, something ultra violent happens to the people who perpetuated the violence in the first place. And I don't like that, because that's not what black people or marginalized people asked for. No one is sitting here asking for vengeance. We're asking for justice. And it seems like oftentimes they put us in a position where they are doling out the vengeance that they think that we want in this ultraviolet way that is supposed to be gratifying for us. But I just don't find it gratifying. I didn't find the initial act of violence gratifying. I certainly don't find the violent act of vengeance to be gratifying either. And I think it's lazy in story. It's lazy. And this movie doesn't really, it starts with slavery. It takes you on a journey of how we got to the slavery, but it does a very poor job of connecting the two, giving us any more emotion or allowing us to be invested in these characters. Because by the time it got to the end and all the stuff started happening, I found myself I was simultaneously too angry at the subject matter and not invested enough to care about what was happening. And I know as stuff was happening, there was a very Roots-esque line in which a character is told what her name is, and then as she's exacting her violent vengeance, she says, "My name is blank." And I'm like, no, see, that line has zero emotional resonance now, because you guys haven't done the work to really make me care about this. And the violence just felt so, and maybe this is just Ronald. So I don't want everybody to walk away being like, oh, well, Ronald doesn't like it, I don't like it. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you will open this movie and be like, wow, this senseless violent movie towards women and black folks, it just was so compelling. And no, you're not gonna like it. There's nothing compelling about the story, and I'm mad at stories like this being told. I want to go back to the visuals for a second. I think the reason why the visuals were so good was because Jared Bush and Christopher Renz were both music video and short film directors, so they know how to get their points across with visuals. But what they're not good at is writing scripts, writing dialogue in this movie, and bringing together a cohesive visual story. So, and then to have Janelle Monae at the forefront of it, I'm like, that's very appropriate for these directors. And there's images in which they show Janelle Monae doing powerful things, and I got them, but they just felt very disconnected from the rest of the movie. They felt like it didn't earn those moments. You know, there's a moment where she's holding up a torch, and kind of walking triumphantly. And I was just like, this movie just you didn't earn that. You didn't earn that moment. Like you didn't earn that. I don't know why you thought you earned that moment. And so, yeah, I didn't like it. And then at one point, the actors are just monologuing their intentions, which to me is always just shows. It just always shows. It's just amateurish when you just have one character just stand up and state the intention of the movie or state the plot of the villain. Any of that stuff, it just feels very. It's just not. It just feels very cheap, amateurish. Just not the move. I'm glad that I watched this movie on demand. I'm glad I didn't have to go to a theater to see this. I would have been upset. I would have taken a friend. I would have been upset walking out. I probably would have lost a friendship because I would have been ranting walking out of the movie theater talking about this movie. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it at all. I'm trying to think of like one good thing about this movie. The visuals were okay, but not good enough for me to say I liked them. I didn't really like the acting because I thought the script was bad, and I didn't like the premise of the movie at all. Yeah, this is a 1-star movie. And it's only a 1-star movie because I can't give it 0 stars because 1 is the lowest you can get. So, yeah, this is a 1-star movie. Don't take your kids. Don't take anyone. Don't see this movie. You should just listen to this review, but don't see this movie. It was not good. I don't ever want to go on that journey again. I feel like they wasted Gabourey Sidibe. They relegated her to the funny friend, and just what a waste of great talent. Well, great talent in 2 people. I think everybody else was just kind of pedestrian. But I'm still looking forward to other things that Janelle Monae does, whether it be music or in other movies or in television. And I'm looking forward to see Gabourey Sidibe and other things as well. But I hope this movie doesn't somehow get a sequel. It looks like critics and audiences aren't really enjoying it that much. Yeah, this movie that sigh was a sigh of sadness. This is a 1-star movie. And with that, I was about to read the credits, but I just want to make sure I'm checking my notes to make sure I didn't. Oh yeah, the Confederate / neo-Nazis in this movie they were overly evil in a way that just felt cartoonish, and they gave them no root. It was just kind of like they alluded to where they came from. And I really didn't spoil the movie that much for you. Like, if you still want to watch it, that's the thing. When y'all watch it and when y'all get to the end, y'all are going to be irritated. And I feel like some of y'all are going to go, oh, Ronald, I didn't think it was that bad. I'm like, and I'm going to force you to tell me why. I'm like, what was good about that movie? What did you think was compelling about that movie? Tell me right now. I want to know. That's how much I feel about this one. So yeah. Yeah, that's it. Don't see this movie. Don't. This is an anti-ad for this movie. Please don't see it. And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of ohitsBigRon Studios. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. To find out more about this show and other ohitsBigRon Studios shows, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ohitsBigRon. That's at ohitsBigron. If you like this show, check out our sister show, Time Well Spent. Leaving the Theater will be back soon, but until then, I'll be here on the couch.